Oh, I'm surprised. The camera went on and now I gotta do something. Oh my goodness. Well, my friends, I'm gonna tell you about something right here. This is gonna be that blockbusting chapter about love. Now, again, I said in another tape, but just so you know, you always see me looking around like a chicken head or a squirrel head or something. That's because I'm doing these things right out here in Hollywood and LA, and there's all kinds of roving monsters out here doing all kinds of roving monstrous things. So I'm always looking around, make sure there's not somebody that's gonna shiv me. It's just a dangerous place. But the people are lovely anyway. You can't judge them and say they're bad just because they shiv you. They're wonderful people. I highly recommend them to everybody. Now, this is about love, so I'm gonna give you this guy in this book. It's called The Sociopath. Now, somebody gave this book to me and they said, well, we think maybe you're a sociopath, so maybe you should read this book and see if you recognize yourself in here. I said, well, son, that book was written about me. No, I'm just kidding, I think. But the topic is love, and so I've never seen it put better than this. Now, you ready? And yet I had never believed in love. I was grateful for the good fortune to have been exempted from all such foolishness. For I never believed, not for an instant, that there was any such thing on earth as love. How could I believe in something I had never seen or experienced? Now, what I did see, palmed off as love, was nothing but people using people, consciously or otherwise, for their own comfort, financial, or gratification of a sexual nature. Love promises are false. It's only an illusion that exists in people's heads, and I was weary of illusions. Now that's from this blockbuster book here, The Sociopath. I don't know the writer, but I thought that message on love was pretty clear, pretty concise, and it had quite a few things to say. But now I do think of something else. I wasn't planning this, but you see that word sociopath, and it's almost like a big thing now in our society, because half of the movies you'll see in sociopaths and psychopaths, they run around doing all these heinous, sick things. And I read a book once, and this is another book, and I don't know who it was by, but she gave the following example, and this made sense to me, so I'm going to pass it on to you so you will know. Next time Hollywood and all of these geniuses out there get this wrong for the millionth time, just so you'll know. Now, what we have is really three kinds of people. They're the so-called normal. They're not really normal in any sense of the word. I mean, they have disorders and dysfunctions, and they're neurotic as hell, but they pass as the so-called normal. Then you got another big group, and according to this book and some other research I read, they say that there may be like 10 to 15 to 20% of the entire population that are sociopaths. The only smaller amount you hear about are the ones that do things. But there may be a lot of sociopaths that just simply don't do anything, but they're still sociopaths. And then the third group would be the psychopaths. Now, they are a pretty rare bunch. They're like the guy, remember Richard Widmark in that movie? I don't know the name of it, but he pushed the woman down the stairs in a wheelchair, and then he laughed like only Richard Widmark could do. It's a pretty famous movie. Well, that Leia is a true sociopath, or he's a psychopath. But now let me tell you what this woman in this book said. I'm already running behind, but here we go again. You're in your backyard, just so you know, because Hollywood's always getting it wrong. You're in your backyard and you drinking whatever you're doing. Oh, you're not drinking, but you're using some method of intoxication. It could be many things. I won't go into them now. But all of a sudden, you see a little possum, a baby possum, and he's running around and he falls into your pool. Now, what happens with those three types that I told you about? Well, the normal person is going to fish that little sucker out. He's going to be going like this. He's not knowing what he's doing. He's not a natural-born swimmer. But the normal people, so-called, would fish that little sucker out. They get a net and fish him out, I guess. Now, the sociopath among us, he would just look at it, and he would keep drinking his drink. He might stand up and watch it sink to the bottom, uninterested, uncaring. And when the little fella died down at the bottom of the pool, he wouldn't do a thing. He'd just return to his chair like it was nothing. He wouldn't be happy. He wouldn't be sad. It would just be nothing. Now, that rare breed, that psychopath, when he saw that little possum fall in that water there, he would go over and he'd be jumping up and down like Richard Widmark with that crazy grin and laughing like a hyena. He'd be yelling to the heavens. He'd be doing a dance. He'd get on. He'd probably be shooting fireworks off. It'd make his day, believe me. Now, so you can actually give yourself a test on that and see where you fall into that. Now, me, I think I come out pretty good. Of course, if I'm a sociopath, I'm lying to you, so there's always that. But if I saw that little possum fall in that water there, I'd get him out. If I had to jump in with all my clothes on, of course, I may not have all my clothes on, but that's another story. But however I was attired, I'd jump in and I'd save that little guy, and I'd put him right back up on the deck, and I'd pat him on the back and say, now you go, little guy. I like you and your mama likes you, and she's looking for you. You see, technically, I don't think it makes any difference if that little possum lives or dies, but I guess what I would be doing is at least saving him the suffering of dying, and I could feel good about that. So I think I come down pretty good in that sweepstakes, if'n I'm telling the truth, and there's no telling when people are telling the truth and when they're not, now is that. People can be pretty convincing liars, and lions for that matter. And so that's the deal on that. Here's that, I'm not going to show you the front page with the girl anymore, but there's that lightning strike, and I'm just going to encourage God, let's have a lot more of them and a lot more smoting. And if you need a GPS coordinates, I'll give you some, because there's a lot of people that are definitely in need of some serious smoting. Lots of them. Of course, I may be the first one on the smoke list, so maybe I'm getting in where I shouldn't be, but that would not be the first time or the last time for a big mouth guy like me. But now I'm at 9 minutes and I haven't said too much about love, although I had that quote from that other guy, which I did say were pretty damn brilliant. But now let's see, what do I want to say? I did tell you that love is an invention. I think I said this in another tape. It really was. You go back to like before 1100, you're not going to see any references to love anywhere. Maybe once or twice, but love was not really anything that existed in this world until the French troubadours in about 1200 AD, which is about 800 years ago. I'll do the math for you. Invented this whole notion of romantic love. It was always known that there was familial love, but they came up with this romantic love because they could put it in songs. And again, it was really a business enterprise like everything else you see on this planet. You see a stick of gum somewhere, I'm telling you there's going to be some business involved in it somewhere. Nothing happens on this planet unless it's attached to money or power somehow. Now, let me see. I had a few things. Oh, and here's another one I think you've got to hear. There was a guy by the name of Quentin Crisp. He was, I guess, a cross-dressing man back in England, maybe in the 20s or 30s. Listen to this now. The message that love will solve all of our problems is repeated incessantly in contemporary culture like a philosophical tom-tom. That's a drum, boom, boom, boom. That's a drum. It would be closer to the truth to say that love is a contagious and virulent disease, pretty fancy, which leaves the victim in a state of near imbecility, paralysis, profound melancholy, and sometimes culminates in death. Least, finally, somebody's sane on that part. And you know what he said about sex? Not that that's actually, love and sex are kind of two different things, but he said that sex is the last refuge of the miserable. Now think about that there for just 1 second. I was pretty surprised when I read that. But it can be looked at that way. There are continents where people are having sex and they are producing millions and hundreds of millions of children, and that whole continent is going under the ocean pretty soon, just from the weight of all of the unexpected consequences of all of that wonderful amore. So you see, and if you do think of it, it's like somebody that's miserable, they might jump for a bottle or a needle, but somebody else that's miserable, they may jump for that, that little blast of ecstasy that comes with sex. But, it might be used, at least in this culture, very much like a drug, like any other drug. I'm not saying that's necessarily true, but those are things to ponder, aren't they? If you have a kind of pondering mind and you're not a slow boy, and, you don't have somebody feeding you and patting you on the head, maybe you could think about some of these things. I'm not saying they're right, but they're worth thinking about, I would say. So anyway, we got this thing here, and then what I wanted to say about Quentin Crisp' first thing about love is solve all our problems. Look at the way it's used in our society. It is an illusion, too. Look at the way it's used in our society. It's a subject of most movies. Even if it's a violent movie, they're going to put a love scene in there, or a romance. All these dumbass sitcoms that you watch, there's always some kind of a love interest, or everybody's chasing love. They're always talking about the new guy or the new girl. And the implication is, as soon as they get love, that's the magic elixir that's going to solve all their problems. Illusion, illusion, illusion. And that's what, and then all of the love songs you hearing and being brainwashed all day long, what are they all about? Good love and bad love gone wrong. But it's always about this love, love, love. And that's taken over pretty much the media of all kinds. And here I am, and some of these people saying that this love is all illusion. It's just something you want to believe, so you believe it. Just like life after death. You want to believe that's true, so you believe it, even though there's no evidence for it. And here we go with love. It's going to solve all your problems. It's going to make you happy. It's almost like an earthbound salvation. Like, you know, heaven is the salvation up there, and the salvation down here is love. But it's all false. It's an illusion. Human beings, by the way they were made at the big people factory outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's about 27 miles. I've been there and I've seen it, and the people pop out about one every second. It's a wild thing to see. But you know, we weren't made, we were not imbued with the ability to have this wild romance and love. It's not in us. We got handed down genetically. We learned how to kill and murder and backstab and commit genocides because that was beneficial to our survival, and that the weak would die and the strong, mean ones would survive. I'm not going to say I'm strong and mean, but I won't deny it. And so that whole love thing that's spinning all around this world, that's an illusion too, that everybody hops to in the music and on TV and in the movies and in the books. Big, another illusion. It's going to leave your heart broken when you don't get it, because how many people find the one? Did you find the one? I'm not talking about somebody you can get along with and are somewhat compatible with, and you can go along through the years and get along with them, but did you find the one? Did he find the one? Did she find the one? Well, you never find the one you're looking for, because there is no soulmate. Just like everything else, that was a made-up thing. And so I don't know what more to say on that, but I think I'm making my point pretty clear, maybe too clear. You could throw a rock at me if you could find me, but you're not going to. Now, let me broach another little thing here. I saw a T-shirt, and it was meant as a joke, but I think it's true too. It says, women fake orgasms, and men, that's us, we fake relationships. I think it's a joke, but I think it has a lot of truth to it. What man doesn't know that you're supposed to fake your relationship because you want to get some? But when it all hits the fan, the woman's standing there looking at you, and she sees there's no affection, there's no love there. You're just using me. Everything that was said was lies. That must be a lonely place to be in, I would say. So you gotta understand, I'm gonna put the book away. If I can find her, I'm gonna show my blonde girlfriend one more time. No, I got it right here. There she is. She's warming up to me. I have details, but I'm not gonna tell them. This guy, I told him I had a job for him in Tasmania. So right now, he's in Tasmania looking for this guy named Rutger Jones. He thinks he has a job for him, but I got him right out of the picture, and I told him, take your big oversized cards with you. That's the only thing of yours that's going to be oversized. And I want to talk to this blonde here. Oh, look, I'm touching a place I shouldn't be touching. And that's bad. I'm going to stop that immediately. You know, that's just a bad thing for me to be doing. And of course, it's sexist. And I'm facing 10 years in Folsom Prison for being such a sexist pig. But, you know, you got to catch me first. And I'm like Jesse James. You're not going to catch me unless you shoot me in the back while I'm hanging a picture. But you see, I don't go up on couches and hang no pictures. I give that job to other people. And I always sit with my back to the wall. So you're going to have a tough time getting me, all of you politically correct nuts here in California. So now, I think I covered the whole shooting match of love and sex there. It's a big, fat illusion that makes people feel good and gives them a chance to chase it. It occupies their time. It's something they can talk about all the time. But when they find it, snap, it doesn't last long at all. Because you're building on a foundation that isn't even there. It's just you want to see it there, but it's not there. So, I don't know how I could be any more depressing about that. I hate to broach all of that love stuff. Maybe I should now unbroach it, but I don't know that I can. Once the words leave my mouth, they are like Pegasus. They are like winged horses, and they fly all across the nation and the world. So now, these people, too, are probably looking for love at some time in their lives. How much of it did they really find? They'll tell you they're in love and everything's wild, but, you know, people don't tell you the truth all the time either. We've already talked about that. They save face, and they make themselves look better than what's really happening. But that's the nature of people. I'd never do that. I just tell you the straight-out truth about everything. I took an oath to always tell the truth when I was about 9 years old, and I haven't deviated from that once, because I'm here for public service. I'm here to help you, and I'm here to entertain you. Let me entertain you, people. I think I have the ability to say things that are important in an interesting way. Now I'm blowing my horn, but believe me, it could be worse. So now I'm coming up on about 23 minutes. That is a marathon session, but I knew it would be with this thing called love. And all of you that are in that real hot spot right now, you experience lust, you know, but that's going to end. And so are your notions of love. And you're going to be sitting across the breakfast table one day. You're going to be looking at this guy or this girl, and you're going to say, how in the hell did I get here? I must have been stoned on bath salts at the time. I was out of my mind. But then you're going to want to get a divorce. And so I give you one last piece of advice. A lot of people all over this country, when they look at that person across the table and they no longer love them, and in fact they seem to hate their intestines pretty intensely. See how it worked out? Oh, man. Sometimes you got to watch these things 2 or 3 times to get all the nuances and all the things between the lines. There's so much going on here. Makes my head spin sometimes. And you know, just for the record, everything I'm doing is just impromptu. It just comes off the top of my head. There's no script for any of these things. There couldn't be. Who would script this? I mean, it's just whatever I think of to say, I say it. And sometimes I go into areas that maybe I shouldn't, but you know, if you're a bold man and if you love the human race, you're going to take those chances, come what may. And the bad guys may be coming after me and they want to string me up by my heels. But I'm a wily old southern boy. You don't catch me that easy. I know all the bayous, and I can get lost in there with the alligators, crocodiles, Tasmanian devils. We got some big yetis in there that follow my advice. You try to find me in that bayou, you're going to be coming up against alligators and yetis. Now, you have the the huevos to make it through a wave of yetis and then alligators. And let me tell you, those are the easy ones. Then the third wave is me standing there, and now you really got problems. But enough of me. I really hate to brag. That's one of the main things I hate. I hate talking about myself. I hate bragging. It's justified that I do. I mean, there is reason, but I shouldn't do it. I know. And so now we're going to make this tape, which I think is the longest in the whole series. We're going to be coming up on 26 minutes, but it seems like 6 minutes because we were establishing such a rapport. And I like you, you like me. We're a happy family. Remember Barney, the purple dinosaur? Well, that's how I try to run my affairs, like Barney, the purple dinosaur. And don't have a laugh at that. Barney, the purple dinosaur, I believe he did a damn sight better than you in this world. Everybody knows him. Does everybody know you? So don't put the Barney down. He's a good guy. He jumps around in a way that makes people happy. And so do I, as a matter of fact. You haven't seen me jump around, but if you do, if you get that benefit, if you're lucky enough, you're going to see some jumping. So now I'm going to cross the big hand with my black ring on my wedding finger. Now, what would that mean, wearing a black ring on your wedding finger? Well, I'm a man of many, many deep secrets. Maybe one of these days I'll tell you why I have that, but it's an interesting story in either way, whether I do or don't. So now I have to say goodbye, but you know how I feel about you. I want you back here. I'm not sure what the next tape is going to be, but it will be something that I think may get written about in the New York Times. It's brewing in me. There's something that's going to happen, and you're going to be amazed. Now, bye-bye for now. It's been pleasurable. I like seeing you. You're good people, despite yourselves. And I'm here to help. And so I'll see what I can do to improve you even further. That's all I can do. Bye-bye for now. You ever remember dinosaur? I'm going to give you a big dinosaur kiss. That kiss was meant right for you, planted on your cheek. And if you can convince me otherwise, you may get more than that. But I don't promise anything. Now, goodbye for now. You sleep well. And some of you may want to sleep thinking about me. I could see how that could happen. Now, here we go. Come on now.